r/AskReddit. What is something illegal you have done and got away without getting caught? We don't endorse crime. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Nothing, officer. I stole my own car from the tow-impound lot. Best part was getting the certified letter months later that they were going to auction it if I didn't come and pay for it. You should have gone back with the letter and demanded to see the car. When I was a teenager, my Labrador got out of the yard and I finally found him at the pound with a bullet in his shoulder. I had to put him down. I inadvertently found out who did it. I spray painted his Corvette. After he got it repainted, I did it again. I went 50 miles per hour when the limit was 45. Found the rebel madman. Right here, fellas. When I went backpacking through Europe, I bought an airsoft pistol in Italy. A replica Beretta 92 FS, nickel plated. It looked real. It was heavy. I could have pointed it at you and you would think it was real. Because I'm a clucking idiot, I decided to bring it home to Canada with me. I packed it in my checked baggage, big backpack, and didn't think anything of it until I arrived back in Toronto and was asked to put my bag in the X-ray machine at customs. At this point I realized, holy cluck, I'm bringing a gun into the country. Replica handguns are completely illegal. I would have been in a crapload of trouble, and I started to panic. Lucky me, I remembered exactly how I had packed the pistol, so when I lay the bag on the conveyor belt, I laid it down so that the X-ray wouldn't see the profile of the pistol. When the bag went through the machine, you could clearly see the gun, but it was at an angle facing away, so rather than a pistol shape, it was just a metal rectangle. The inspection agent guy whatever stopped the belt, pointed directly at the chunk of metal and said, "What's that?" I looked him dead in the eye and said, "It's a toy." The next few seconds felt like an eternity. I could feel my pulse pounding in my neck. I was terrified, but then he just said, "Okay, welcome home," and let me go. I retrieved my bag, walked into the main terminal, then went and threw up in the nearest garbage can. Yay, I was dumb but I got away with it. I say might, have a few pence from work in my drawer at home. This is not an admission of wrongdoing, nor can I attest to how they got there. If they're even there. Officer, yeah, right over here. I stole one of the rulers of one of my teachers when I was 13. I know, I'm a badass. Yardstick today, prison yard tomorrow. The summer after I graduated high school, my best friend and I bought season passes to Six Flags and decided to go every day because it was only an hour plus away. A week or two into our summer, Six Flags introduced their fast passes. We immediately bought them, jumped the line and were hooked. This was going to be the best summer of our lives, but the fast passes were like $20 each, which adds up if you're going every day. Luckily for us, the stupid idiots printed them on business cards and punched out a hole when you rode. So we just printed our own at home on my friend's dad's super nice printer and rode the crap out of every ride we could. We started making friends with the ride operators, and they'd start telling us what color the ink would be the next week so we could stay ahead of the law and the suckers in line. After 2 months or so, they started printing them on plastic, but I worked at a plastic factory that used plastic sheeting that was the same thickness, and we were still able to print them if I cut the sheets down to size. We got to ride the rest of the summer out in style, but the next year they introduced the Tamagotchi-looking fast passes, and I knew that I'd been beaten. It was the best summer of my life, and it was really thrilling to feel like I was getting away with something that was technically illegal, but also was a completely victimless crime. Stole a Blue Angels flag from the hangar they were parked in. When I was in the Navy, the Blue Angels visited the airbase I was stationed at. They proceeded to kick all of our planes out of our hangar and I had to fix our birds out in the rain. In a fit of contempt, on the last day they were there, I went into the mess and stole the flag hanging from the overhead beams. I still have the flag and wear it like a cape from time to time. Stole some candy when I was 6 years old at the corner store in 1967, the summer of love for candy. I hid it behind a sock ball in my hand. I even showed the sock ball to the owner. and said you like my sock ball. I still feel remorse. He was nice gentleman. My friends and I didn't pay for our dinner at Steak and Shake this past weekend. I stood waiting at the register trying to pay for 20 minutes but no one came to take my money. It was 12:30 AM before we left. I visited an abandoned building. Someone called the police and 30 minutes later we saw firefighters walking into the huge building just to search us. Luckily we saw it when we were already out. I trespassed a condo car park to see an expensive car. I pretended I lived there. I bet you took a picture of it too, you monster. I was going 75 in a 35 with a Domino's pizza topper lit up on my roof late at night on an empty country road. A cop went by in the other direction, lit up his light bar, and started turning around to follow me. I unplugged the topper, pulled into the next neighborhood, cut my lights and pulled into a driveway. The cop drove by without noticing me. I felt like a badass, but then a sense of dread settled in when I realized that if he noticed that the glowing topper said Domino's Pizza on it, he'd know where to find me. I think that the statute of limitations is over on this one. It happened in the year 2000, almost 20 years ago, and so I can likely talk freely about it without getting in trouble. When I was at a local private school and had homework, I would often forge my mom's initials so as to not having to actually do it. I once didn't come to a complete stop at a stop sign in the middle of the night, just rolled through with smooth 2 kilometers an hour. If you ain't out of control, you ain't in control. I downloaded a car. You wouldn't. When Xbox 360s used to get the red ring of death, I started up my own little side business. I used to buy new ones at Walmart with cash, open it, and take a small razor and swab the barcode from the new 360 to the broken 360. Then I would take the broken 360 with the new barcode and put it in the box and return it to Walmart saying it was a gift, but I already had one. All they used to do was scan the barcode to see if it was the same. Boom. New 360, and I would charge people $100 and get them the brand new 360 within 48 hours. Probably climbing a signal tower in Egypt. I realized afterwards that it was on military land. Then proceeded to climb it another couple of times. Oh, to be young and carefree. A long while back I was working in a country that was experiencing a bit of a civil war. The area we were moving into had a strict embargo on fuel and they were seizing all of it coming into their territory. I called a buddy that had access to a poop truck, you suck ported johns with, and we transferred the fuel to that. One thing you can count on is the laziness of the lowest ranking member working security, as well as nobody wanting to deal with human waste. We drove 18,000 liters right past them and through their search lane. Over 10 grand in fuel. I went to see Joe Biden speak during a campaign rally for the general election in 2008. It was at an apple orchard and the people who owned it had a basket of apples for Joe Biden and his staff by the stage. As soon as he left, I, along with half of the front row, got up and stole some of Joe's apples. They were among the best I've ever had. Sorry, Mr. Vice President, but if I had the chance I'd steal your apples all over again. I was like 6 years old in a grocery store with my mom. She tells me to hold on to the gallon of apple juice because there was no more room in the cart for it, and I clucking loved apple juice. So being an absolute compliant little crap, I held onto the juice as she went through the checkout line. Kept holding it as we left to the car, on the way home, and all the way to the fridge to hand it to her to put it in the right spot. Only then did she realize that we never paid for it. I said, but you told me to hold on to it. She just looks at me dumbfounded, then deadpan tells me not to mention it to anyone else, that it was an accident, and that we are keeping it. I borrowed a piano from my music school and I never gave it back. A few years ago I was working at Waffle House on the graveyard shift. One of my co-workers got really clucked up on shift. Fistful of Xanax plus 2 Four Locos plus bowl of weed. Right at the busy time, she blacks out, and faster planted onto the waffle iron I had just preheated. She burned a grid mark into her face. I had to pull her off, but some of her face skin came off. Called an ambulance. Never saw her again. Worked the rest of the shift by myself. I was so shook up, was like 17 at the time, that I didn't realize until after I got home that I never cleaned her face skin off the waffle iron before the breakfast rush. So, I accidentally ended up feeding a few people waffles with human face cooked into them. I once bought plastic storage tubs at Walmart. The cashier didn't realize there was a second storage tub in the first one I bought, and I got it for free. The guilt of this haunts me to this day. I hope God and the country can forgive me. When I was a kid, my fam didn't have much money for food after my dad died. It was so bad one time the only thing we had in the fridge was a pitcher of ice water, ketchup and mustard. I rode my bike up to the town grocery store and stole a package of bologna. I took it to my mom and told her a neighbor had given it to us. She fried it up and we ate it. Nice try, FBI. Not today, CIA. Can't catch me, KGB. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel for more edit videos like this. Don't forget to smash that like button and stay crispy, guys.